This is Jim Coyle.
If you're listening to this, you are the Resistance.
We gotta find this guy.
If you're frustrated and concerned about the future, if you're ready to speak out, if you're ready to stand up and take action, to defend liberty at all costs, you are the people we're looking for. Welcome to Resistance Radio.
Good evening and welcome to Resistance Radio with Jim Coyle. I will be your guide through the chaos for the next 2 hours. It's a brand new program we're kicking off tonight, so absolutely glad to have you join us. Hope you'll join us each and every Sunday night here at 10 o'clock on 970 WGTK. And with an opening like that, I guess you probably deserve a little bit of an explanation. What is Resistance Radio and why is it here? Why now? Well, Resistance Radio, very simply, is an idea that we need to resist the notion that we cannot have an influence on these political parties anymore. We have to resist the notion to accept the spoon-fed media. Resist the notion to take the easy path. Work hard to find the truth. That's what the resistance is all about. And a good resistance has pockets. There are pockets of people all over this country from coast to coast who are going to agree with what I'm saying. Of course, there'll be those who don't agree. And you're part of the resistance too, because we want that debate. You can check your PC hat in at the door and speak in truth and speak in reality. You're not going to hurt my feelings, and hopefully I don't hurt yours. I don't hurt yours, but we should all be adults here and be able to have adult conversations without walking around on eggshells. So the Resistance Radio is up front. We're going to be on the edge, okay? And these pockets of people from New Jersey to California, I want you to log onto the web, www.970wgtk.com, and follow the Resistance online. That way, we can break out of our shell here in Louisville and hear what people are saying in other pockets around the country. And right now, it's important to break out of our shells and find out what is really going on in the ground, all over the bluegrass and all over the nation. So that's what we're going to attempt to do here at Resistance Radio. And we'll need your help. So pick up the phone and give us a call, 502-571-0970. That phone number is good from anywhere in the whole wide world, so give us a call, 502-571-0970. We are launching a new website, resistance-radio.com. You can go there. We're going to start putting podcasts up once we get the shows running. You'll be able to find them there. I'll be putting blogs up there, pictures, all kinds of information pertaining to the show will be at resistance-radio.com. And this is an independent venture. I'm working with some local businesses with advertising, but if you like what you hear and you want to support freedom of speech on the radio with live local programming, you can make donations to the show at resistance-radio.com as well. Also, if you're into Facebook and Twitter, there's Resistance Radio on Facebook. I don't do the Twitter so much, but I'm starting to get back into it. I've tried it a few times, and I don't know. It just doesn't catch me the same way that Facebook does. I don't think there's enough that you can do with it, but we'll try. So it's out there. We want all those different venues of social media and communication to come together to form a coalition of people, like-minded and not like-minded, that want to get to a solution, that want to hash out the problem and come to an answer. That's what it's all about. So with that foundation laid, I'll let you know that tonight we got a lot going on. We're going to talk about the presidential debate, obviously. We're going to talk about the attacks in our consulates around the world, especially the Benghazi attack. We're going to have a little Constitution Corner, which I think will be a weekly feature here. We'll look at the first 10 amendments to the Constitution and how they are under attack. We'll take it week by week, one by one, and go through it very thoroughly. Also going to have grassroots updates from all the different grassroots parties around Kentuckiana, whether it's Clark County Patriots or the Louisville Tea Party or 912 Project or whatever. We're going to have updates from local members of those groups telling us what they're doing, where they're doing it, how you can be involved. We'll talk a little bit about local news. Of course, right now in this election season, John Yarmouth and Brooks Wicker is a big deal. We'll talk about that. And we're also going to have a little bit of fun. You know, you can't be 2 hours of hitting your head against a wall. You start to bleed, and we don't really want blood right now. So we're going to loosen up a little bit. We'll talk a little bit about sports. UK, U of L, obviously. They're big in this town. We'll talk a little bit about NFL and major sports as well in the surrounding cities where it's pertinent, and have some fun every week with open mic music, where we'll talk about, we'll have a different theme when we'll talk about music and pop culture, the history of some music and songs and genres. So that's pretty much our outline of the show. And this week I am very honored and excited to have in the studio with me as my first guest, Joe Stamm.
Jim, I am so honored to be here. Congratulations on Resistance Radio, 970 WGTK. It's awesome being here. I cannot wait to get this show started. Let's do it, man.
All right. And just a little background here. Joe and I have worked together in radio before. Yeah. He was actually a PD on a rock station that I worked with, a rock station formerly known as Louisville's Rock Station.
Formerly. Definitely formerly.
But we had fun in that format.
Jim and I had a blast. We had, I got to tell you, Louisville, Jim has the greatest ideas for promotions, marketing. So this show is going to be crazy. It's going to be dynamite. You got to stay tuned. You got to stick around. Go to the website. Call the number 5710970 and get on this show. It's going to be a blast.
Well, thank you. I hope so. And with support like that, we'll make it successful one way or another. Thanks, Joe. We're going to get into all I talked about and a whole lot more. It's Resistance Radio. Stick around. More on the way on 970 WGTK.
If you can hear my voice, the Resistance needs you. Call 502-571-0970.
970 WGTK.
Hi, I'm Jack Canfield, co-author of the Chicken Soup for the Soul and the Success Principles books. I've been changing people's lives one story at a time, and now it's time to change yours. I put together a breakthrough collection of success recordings where I guide you to make the changes you want and deserve. I want to give these to you free of charge. They are my gift to you. These free online sessions will help you bring success into any arena of your life: finances, health, relationships, and overall personal growth. It starts by going to a special website we've set up for you with your favorite radio station.
Thanks, Jack. To take advantage of Jack's invaluable advice for free, simply visit 970wgtk.com. That's 970wgtk.com. Jack Canfield is the co-creator of the Chicken Soup for the Soul books, and we're honored to have this opportunity. Get his free recordings at 970wgtk.com. Thanks to your friends here at 970 WGTK.
For Craig, it wasn't one of those days, it was one of those years. Sales gone south, competitors circling, several employees leaving. Craig said, "I feel like Job." That sent him to his Bible. Toward the end of the story, Job unloads on God, after which God gives Job his perspective. Job concludes, "I know that you can do all things, and that no purpose of yours can be thwarted." With a wry smile, Craig bowed his head and soon got back to work. This is Howard Butt, Jr. of Laity Lodge. Trusting in God through hard times may never change circumstances, but it surely can change us in the high calling of our daily work.
Now more than ever, you need the whole truth. The Mike Gallagher Show, weekday mornings at 9 on 970 WGTK.
Welcome back to The Resistance. Jim Coyle, your host, with special guest in the studio this week, Joe Stamm.
Hello.
Hello. We're going to jump into this. Well, first of all, actually, before we jump into it, I want to put a little bias out there so everybody knows I am originally from the Philadelphia area. So, my
I couldn't
bias,
tell by your Eagles jersey you're wearing.
No, I'm about ready to burn it, though. They're really ticking me off. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that. But I want to throw it out there. I do have a bias growing up in that area. Of course, Ben Franklin is my favorite founding father. And tasty cakes are my favorite snacks of all time. For those of you who don't know, tasty cake is, for lack of a better comparison, like a Hostess. except these are only made in Philadelphia, and they're only distributed in a very small area.
And they're a lot more higher in calories.
Well, yeah.
Oh, my God.
But that's why they're so good. And I bring that up because as a welcome warming gift to the studio here tonight, Joe bought me a box of Tasty Cakes, and thank you very much.
Well, if you do notice, they are open and there are a couple missing.
Well, I wouldn't expect anything less.
I had to taste the Tasty Cake.
Yeah, I have to. Yeah. There's no way to resist. I mean, they say no one can eat just one Lay's potato chip. Nonsense. You can't not eat a Tasty Cake.
Well, on the box it says 90 calories per cake.
Right.
There's 2 cakes per pack.
Right.
If you open it, you have to eat the second one by default, or else it will go terribly gross and you won't eat it.
You have to. And remember, nobody bakes a cake as tasty as a Tasty Cake. There you go. So thanks. Thanks for the gift, Joe. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
There'll be a great midnight snack when we get off the air here tonight. All right, jumping into the politics. A lot of stuff going on in the national scene right now. Of course, we're closing in less than a month away from the election, and we had our first presidential debate, and we've got the first vice presidential debate coming up in a week, less than a week now, right here in Kentucky, which is very cool, down at Center College. Still trying to figure out if I can crash that party or not. I don't know. I might be on the list. They might not let me in.
You might be on that special list.
I'm on the special list.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was really interesting because Romney came out hitting hard, ready to go. He obviously been rehearsing. He had obviously been preparing, and he was ready to go. And I thought it was amazing how as soon as the debate was over, everyone unanimously agreed that he just blew Obama out of the water. I mean, even MSNBC, I flipped over there because that's always fun to see what's going on. When something good happens for conservatives or Republicans, you got to watch MSNBC just to watch the meltdown.
Oh, man.
It's amazingly fun.
But then they also pick it apart little bit by bit and just try to find something wrong with it. They just can't, so sometimes they just make stuff up, honestly.
Absolutely, and Chris Matthews is the best at that. He had a Charlie Sheen moment when I flipped over. He was half pulling his hair out. He looked drunk. His tie was turned sideways, and he goes, "What was Romney doing? He was winning! Winning! Duh! He was winning!" I mean, I thought he was having a conniption. He was having a conniption right there on live TV, a meltdown.
That guy takes me back to when I was a child, and I would do something wrong around strangers, and they'd look at me, and they'd be like, "Oh my, I think this stranger's going to punch me in the face, so I do it again." He reminds me like that when he freaks out.
He's weird.
He is.
He loses all touch of reality.
Scary dude.
When he does that. So anyway, I thought it was really obvious or really interesting that everyone had obviously thought that Obama won the debate. And Obama immediately went out on the campaign trail and started defending his lack of performance or attacking Romney's positive performance, either way you want to look at it. It's funny because listening to him, and we're going to play a clip here in just a second, but listening to him reminded me of this new program, The Newsroom, on HBO, I think it is, or Cinemax. One of them has this new show called The Newsroom. And they're going back and looking at news stories through the eyes of a newsroom and how it breaks and who's saying what and who's doing what. And it's also a very liberal slant. So it's kind of like, you ever get in an argument and you go home and then you're like, "Oh, I should have said this. Oh, I should have done that."
Absolutely.
That's exactly what the newsroom is doing. They're rewriting like everything that the liberals should have said for this story and what they should have done for that story through the eyes of a newsroom. And that's what this was from Obama. He was coming out there and he's like, "I should have done this and I should have done that. So I'll do it on the campaign trail." Take a listen.
When I got onto the stage, I met this very spirited fellow who claimed to be Mitt Romney. But it couldn't have been Mitt Romney, because the real Mitt Romney has been running around the country for the last year, promising $5 trillion in tax cuts that favor the wealthy. The fellow on stage last night said he didn't know anything about that. The real Mitt Romney said, "We don't need any more teachers in our classroom." But the fellow on stage last night, he loves teachers. Can't get enough of them. The Mitt Romney we all know invested in companies that were called pioneers of outsourcing jobs to other countries.
That's what they were
called. The guy on stage last night, he said that he doesn't even know that there are such laws that encourage outsourcing. He's never heard of them. Never heard of them. Never heard of tax breaks for companies.
Never heard of him.
Never heard.
He said that if it's true, he must need a new accountant. Now, we know for sure it was not the real Mitt Romney because he seems to be doing just fine with his current accountant.
Stepford Wives Romney.
So you see, the man on stage last night, he does not want to be held accountable for the real Mitt Romney's decisions and what he's been saying for the last year. And that's because he knows full well that we don't want what he's been selling for the last year. So Governor Romney may dance around his positions, but if you want to be president, you owe the American people the truth.
You owe the American people the truth.
I thought I'd like to hear myself talk. My goodness. Where was that Obama during the debates?
Exactly.
There was nothing but, it's my 20th anniversary.
Yeah. Looking down, filling with papers, looking away. He wasn't there. That Obama was not on stage.
Teleprompter Obama.
Yeah.
In
Well,
quotes.
he had a teleprompter for this speech, I'm sure.
Of course.
Out on the campaign trail, the teleprompter in chief is always right there. But on the debate, no teleprompter. He looked weak. Now he's trying to go back and all these subsequent attacks after the fact. I personally don't think it works. I think the only way that he gets any revenge or jab back is winning the next debate, which is going to be on foreign policy. So I was amazed that Romney handled the national stuff so well. When we get to the international stuff, right now he's got the opportunity to clean Obama's clock. And I'll tell you why. That last sentence that Obama said, if you're going to be president of the United States, you owe the American people the truth. I can't believe that comes out of his mouth, because on a national scene, he lied to the American people about Obamacare. Mm-hmm. Because for a year and a half, he told everybody this is not a tax. This is not a tax. He laughed at George Stephanopoulos on ABC TV and said, George, the fact that you had to look up the definition of tax in the dictionary shows how much you're stretching. It's not a tax, George. He tells him that with a straight face. Well, actually, he was laughing through it. But he tells him that, and he believes it, and he wants George Stephanopoulos to believe it, and George Stephanopoulos eventually puts the dictionary down and moves on. But when the chips are down and Obamacare, the Affordable Health Care Act, goes to the Supreme Court, Obama tells his lawyers, represent it as a tax. That's how we're going to get it through. That's how they got it through. They took the fine that they were imposing on people and said, no, it's a tax. So therefore, we do have the right to levy a tax. And it got, past the Supreme Court, upheld it.
Absolutely.
So what happened to the year and a half when he was telling us it wasn't a tax and he wasn't going to raise taxes? He lied.
He's not a liar.
He obviously had to lie. He purposely misled the American people on the issues of taxing on Obamacare. But on the international level, it's an even bigger mess and an even bigger lie. On September 11th, our embassy in Benghazi was attacked. We had our ambassador killed. We had Navy SEALs killed. Total of 4 altogether were killed in this raid. And for the next week and a half, we heard that this raid and all the other protests that were springing up throughout Egypt and Syria and Tunisia and all over the Middle East, that were all these protests that were springing up against the U.S., were all because of a video that was put on the internet that was blaspheming Mohammed. How do you say that?
I think you get it right.
They were, it was blasphemy against Mohammed,
right,
according to the Muslims. And that's why they broke out in all this rage. On September 12th, after I had heard some research, there was some stories coming out already from the intel sources. John McCain was already talking. Lindsey Graham was already talking. Other predominant people in the government were already talking about, was this actually a coordinated planned attack against the U.S.? And what we found out, I said, yes, it was, and I believed it was. And when you looked at the story as it unfolded, you had multiple layers, multiple waves of the attack, laying down suppression fire with RPGs, with heavy artillery, coming in waves, with a planned coordinated attack. It was different than any of the other uprisings throughout the Middle East. They weren't just burning flags. They weren't just throwing stones at the wall. This was a coordinated, concentrated effort that ended up with 4 of our U.S. citizens dead. And what we're finding out now, and what is it now, October 7th? We're finding out now that particular embassy had requested more security, and it was denied. That the intel that we had on the ground was telling us that there was going to be an attack against that particular institution. Now, we didn't know exactly when it was coming, but the word was out there that it was coming. We also had the number 2 of Al-Qaeda release an Osama-style videotape. Remember Osama bin Laden always used to release those videotapes? Well, I think it was September 10th, 9th or 10th, number 2 from Al-Qaeda had put a video out in the same manner as a call to action to uprise against the U.S. ambassador. So you put all these pieces together, and it fits the classic Al-Qaeda mode of a pre-planned terrorist attack against the West, against the U.S. And I don't understand why for all this time, the government has tried to force-feed this narrative that it's all over a movie. It's not over the movie. You know, you can go on YouTube, you can see the number of hits the movie has. It didn't have a whole lot of hits before all this news started. Now, once all the news cycle started, sure, people go back and look at it because they want to see.
Right.
You want to see the train wreck.
Right.
You know, you all do. So you log on, check it out. But this thing had been released for months before that. It was on the internet. It was just lying there. No one was paying attention to it. There were no uprisings until attention was brought to it. And the attention was brought to it from this administration. And they're trying to pin everything on this video when all the facts, the president of Egypt, the president of Libya, all these foreign sources are telling us the same thing. Our own intel is telling us the same thing. This was a pre-planned attack against the U.S. So why did this administration lie to us? Why have they still lied to us? Why is it that it wasn't until October that we got anybody over there to even look at forensics to find out what was going on? We got nothing, zero from this administration. To me, it's a big fat lie on international affairs and international policy, on which Obama is failing miserably. If you agree with me, give me a call and let me know. If you disagree, you think that I know there's some people out there on Facebook, and I'm going to call you out, Darren Rappa, and I'm definitely calling you out because on September 12th you were telling me that I was crazy. Laura, you're another one. I'll save your last name because I like you a little bit more than Darren. But Laura, you another one that said you were shocked, horrified, and sickened that I thought that this was a terrorist attack and that I didn't believe the president. Call me up right now and tell me why I'm wrong. If you are out there listening and if you have the courage, give me the call right now, 502-571-0970. That's the number to call. I'll be here until midnight. I'll wait for your call, Darren. Anytime will be fine. 571-0970.
What do you really think about this?
What, me?
Yeah.
I think the president has been lying to us on multiple levels for multiple years. Yeah. We got more coming up on Resistance Radio. My guest tonight, Joe Stamm. Stick around. It's WGTK 970.
SRN News, I'm Wally Himes in Washington. A privately owned cargo capsule is heading to the International Space Station. SpaceX launched its unmanned Falcon rocket tonight from the Cape Canaveral, Florida Space Station. It is the first of a dozen space station supply missions under a mega contract with NASA. The Dragon capsule, with its 1,000 pounds of cargo, expected to reach the orbiting lab on Wednesday. The number of people affected by a rare form of fungal meningitis is increasing. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention says there are now more than 90 confirmed cases in 9 states. At least 7 people have died. Vice presidential hopeful Paul Ryan says President Obama is trying to throw the kitchen sink at Republican presidential candidate Mitt Romney and muddle and confuse voters. He's also accusing Mr. Obama of distorting Romney's record. More details at srnnews.com.
from Columbia Pictures.
From Genesis 32:24. When he saw, he prevailed.
Here Comes the Boom is the funniest and most inspirational film of the year.
I saw this fight and the guy got 10 grand.
Do you really think you could save the school by doing this?
Don't worry, I know what I'm doing.
This is going to be funny.
On October 12th, when you don't give up.
What are you teaching these kids if you go through with it?
What am I teaching them if I don't?
Nothing can take you down.
What happened to your eye?
I cut myself shaving.
Here Comes the Boom. Rated PG. Parental guidance suggested. In theaters October 12th.
For the first time in our history, America's credit rating has been downgraded, and AMAC has an answer to that news. Never again. AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, is the conservative alternative to the AARP. AMAC cares about the issues conservatives care about. If you're 50 or older, help us get to 1 million members by the 2012 elections. Join AMAC now. Go to tearupyourcar.com or call 800-255-4199, 800-255-4199, or go to tearupyourcar.com.
The 970 WGTK Kentuckiana weather forecast for tonight will have mostly clear skies. Will drop down to 39 degrees. For your Columbus Day, we'll have patchy frost in the morning, becoming sunny by the afternoon with a high near 63 degrees. Monday evening, mostly clear, the overnight low 42. This forecast has been brought to you by St. Matthews Imports, voted Louisville's best mechanic. Trust your car to the best. Call them today at 896-0305. That's 896-0305.
Our lifestyle has changed in recent years, and a big part of that is keeping information at our fingertips.
I want information.
That's why 970WGTK.com has apps for your iPhone, BlackBerry, and smartphone.
Give me information.
Free podcasts so you can listen on your time. Blogs from our show hosts. Live streaming so you can listen without a radio.
I need information.
Plus Kentuckiana's news, weather, and traffic. Info at our fingertips. Now. 970WGTK.com.
Hi, it's Joe Elliott. Join me live and local weekdays, noon to 3 on Intelligent Talk 970 WGTK.
Welcome back to Resistance Radio. Jim Coyle along with Joe Stamm in the studio tonight. And we were just talking about the debate. Obviously, I got that off my chest about Obama's lies.
You did.
But I think that's where Mitt Romney needs to go in the second debate. He needs to go to the attack in Benghazi, and he needs to go the Fast and Furious. That's another one that keeps unraveling right before our eyes, and more information is coming out. Now, you could say that it's just Eric Holder lying in that one and the DOJ covering it up, but Obama got involved when he used executive privilege to suppress information. So there's a lot to be found out about this president.
This next debate will be huge.
It will be.
How many people watched the first debate? Do you know the numbers? I mean,
65 million, was it?
There was a lot of people.
One out of 5 people.
Yeah.
Around 65 million or so. So, yeah.
This one is going to be, if you thought the first one was going to be interesting and there was going to be people picking it apart and people freaking out about stuff, this next debate,
yeah.
The vice president debate, it's wow.
Yeah. Well, what I think is funny was Al Gore had a chance to give his critique on the debate, and he had an explanation as to why President Obama did not give a good performance. And I'll give you two guesses what's involved.
Where were they at?
They were at Denver.
That's right. I'm going to say
Al Gore.
An
excuse.
Probably something with the atmosphere.
All right. Climate.
Climate.
The climate has to be involved with Al Gore.
Of course.
Go ahead and roll Al Gore's
He's got
explanation.
books to sell.
I'm going to say something controversial here. Obama arrived in Denver at 2 p.m. today, just a few hours before the debate started. Romney did his debate prep in Denver. Mm-hmm. When you go to 5,000 feet,
exactly,
and you only have a few hours to adjust.
Oh man!
I don't know, maybe
training at altitude. Can I say the first?
To me, just one real quick thing.
Al.
I just came from LA the same day. You know what I did? I drank 2 cups of coffee before coming out here.
No,
it's
different, Jake. It's really different. The first time I ever did stand-up in Denver, I had the same exact effect. I flew in that day, and when your lungs aren't acclimated to that kind of air, yeah, it makes you drawn, it makes you off.
Interesting.
The president had an off night.
The president had an off night, and it's because of the climate.
And I saw the SNL skit the other day.
That was great.
Jay Farrow does a great Obama, and he was talking about messing up the entire debate because he was thinking about the gift that he forgot to buy his wife, Michelle, for their 20th anniversary. I can see that too.
I can see that. I actually would go with that one more than Al Gore's environment excuse.
I forgot the gift.
Oh my God, she's in the front row. She's looking at me. I don't have a gift.
And you know she's staring daggers because he forgot.
And that's why he was looking down at the podium the whole time. I can't look at Michelle. I can't look at Michelle. I can't look at Michelle.
Busted. Big time.
Do you know what I found out? And it kind of, me being me, got me a little frustrated. We have the same anniversary date.
Oh,
I know.
That's
I
precious.
celebrated 14 years while he was celebrating his 20.
Did you buy your wife a gift?
I did. I actually sent flowers to her place of work. They were the same flowers we had at our wedding, so it was a little reminder that I remembered 14 years ago what kind of flowers we had, and I sent them to her, and we had Chinese and a bottle of wine, and then we watched the presidential debate. But the first couple hours of the anniversary were great. Yeah.
I don't know. You know how to woo a woman, huh? I mean, 14
Chinese
years being married.
Food,
yeah.
Wine.
14
and a
years being married.
debate.
There's no mysteries anymore. Happy anniversary, honey. I got you number 4.
A number 4.
With an extra egg roll.
And a fortune cookie.
Because I love you. Let's watch the debate, honey. You're the most romantic guy I know.
Oh, hey, I'm trying. But, I would believe that over Al Gore. I mean, this guy has lost all touch with reality, and he's so serious.
He's super serial.
My idea, he gets to bring it down to that pace that just kills you. Do you remember when he did that poem about the environment? One thin September morn, Neptune's bones will dissolve in a sea of acid. I was like, are you serious? I want to slip my wrists.
I actually watched An Inconvenient Truth.
Yes.
And he makes very interesting facts. He's got cool facts and charts coming down from the ceiling and great PowerPoint presentations. And you're like, wow, this is really cool. And then you hear him talk and you're like, dude, somebody punch me in the face and wake me up, please.
Yeah, or you see him kiss his wife and you're just like, oh, that is so awkward.
It's like when Michael Jackson kissed Lisa Marie Presley.
That was a very awkward kiss as well. But Tipper and Al, that was strange.
Sin shivers. Shiver me timbers.
But the debate critiques were not done. I want to play one more clip, and I want to play this clip because it's from somebody who I pretty much almost never agree with. But after this debate, I found myself agreeing with him 3 times. We'll play the audio now, and we'll get to the tweets later on. So right now, let's play the audio from Bill Maher and his explanation.
I'm sorry, he sucked. He looked tired. He had trouble getting his answers out. It looks like he took my $1 million and spent it all on weed.
That is a lot of weed.
It is.
Wow.
But also a more viable option than Al Gore's climate. Because, I mean, the guy looked stoned. He looked something. Something was bringing him down. Something made him nervous to where he couldn't make eye contact.
Well, you've been on radio for many, many years. I have as well. When you don't have that crutch, when you don't have that person to banter with, when you don't have the thing you're used to, if you're doing a speech and you look out in the audience, you have that certain person that's always at your speeches and you could talk to just them.
Yeah.
If you don't have that,
yeah,
you're in trouble.
You're in trouble. And he didn't have that. And
he did not have his teleprompter.
All night long.
He was in trouble.
And hopefully he'll be in trouble again in the next debate. We got, I think, what is going to be a very exciting vice presidential debate coming up first. And I want to get your opinion on that. What do you think? You got Joe Biden going up against Paul Ryan right here in Kentucky at Center College. Who do you think comes out on top in that one, Joe?
What is Biden going to say?
I don't know. Probably something that's going to help out Paul Ryan.
I have trouble talking right now, but cause you're my friend. The only reason why I can talk right now with the microphone in my face because I have you, my friend. You have Biden left to his own vices. What is he going to do?
It's going to be comical.
He might stop in the middle of the speech and color in a coloring book. I don't know. Pretend he might try to do the Clint Eastwood talking to a chair thing, but totally mess it up.
Which would be hard to do, but he can find a way to do it. Joe Biden can find a way to mess up anything.
He scares me.
I heard he was going to start his welcome by, 7 years ago.
If he comes out with the beard and the hat and starts reciting that like he's a third grade play. There's,
I
can see that.
I think one thing people seem to have forgotten about Joe Biden is when he was running for president, he was plagiarizing all his speeches. The guy doesn't have an original thought.
No.
Hey Tom, do we have time in this segment to play the Biden gaffes? Is that all right, let's go ahead and run this. This is going to give you an idea of what you can expect from Joe Biden at the vice presidential debate at Center College. Go for it.
You got the first sort of mainstream African American who is articulate and bright and clean and a nice looking guy. That's a storybook.
Now is the time to heed the timeless advice from Teddy Roosevelt. Speak softly and carry a big stick. End of quote. I promise you, the president has a big stick. I promise you.
My goodness.
When the stock market crashed, Franklin Roosevelt got on television and didn't just talk about the princes of greed. He said, look, here's what happened. And I also am told that Chuck Graham, state senator, is here. Chuck, stand up, Chuck. Let him see you.
Chuck's in a wheelchair.
Oh, God love you. What am I talking about?
Yeah.
I tell you what, you're making everybody else stand up, though, pal.
Yeah, pal.
A man who will be the next president of the United States, Barack America.
We can stop all that malarkey. Look, guys, think of this is deadly earnest, man. This is deadly earnest. How they can justify raising taxes in the middle class that's been buried the last 4 years. How in Lord's name can they justify raising their taxes with these tax cuts? I have more to say, but I'm saying too much already because these guys get me going a little bit.
Oh, yeah. And then, of course, you got his they're going to put you all back in chains. I mean, just one thing after another. But my absolute favorite is FDR coming on TV after the stock market crash.
It's amazing.
How many things can you get wrong in one sentence? How many monumental pieces of American history can you misplace on your timeline in one sentence?
You and I need to buy him a DeLorean. Have Doc Brown hook it up with all the bells and whistles and help him and Marty go back in time to figure out some real facts.
121 gigawatts! It's going to take something to shock some sense into this guy. He's off his rocker. And it's funny because if you had any predominant conservative holding a major office that made these type of mistakes, they would be absolutely crucified. I mean, go back to I'm drawing a blank now. Walker Bush's vice president, Dan Quayle. Look at what he got drugged through because of his spelling of potato,
right?
Or because of him saying that having a mainstream show like Murphy Brown, a professional woman who's fatherless raising a child, was a bad image to send. Look at what they did to him over those two. I say insignificant things, really, on the big scale of things.
Well, you got to learn how to spell potato. It's important.
I know, especially
when you're writing
Irish like me. You got to know how to spell
when you're
potato.
When you're writing out recipes for people or a grocery list, if you mess up that E
on the potato, they'll have no idea.
They won't know what to get.
Yeah, and then that affects that. Just trickle down from there.
Potatoes.
So it's funny that Joe Biden gets away with all this stuff, but maybe it's finally time we call him out on it after this vice presidential debate and send them packing in November. What do you think? Give me a call, 571-0970, if you want to be a part of the resistance. We'll back on 970 WGTK. Stick around.
Join the resistance now. Call 502-571-0970. That's 502-571-0970.
970 WGTK.
What makes the miracles of Jesus even more miraculous? Standing where they happened, in Israel. Come visit Capernaum, where Jesus restored a paralytic's helpless legs. Sail the Sea of Galilee, where Jesus walked on the water to meet his disciples. Stroll through Cana, where Jesus transformed water into wine. Walk in the footsteps of Jesus. See the Bible come alive before your eyes. Sense God's presence like never before. To learn more about standing where it all happened in Israel,
visit evangelicalisraelexperience.com. That's evangelicalisraelexperience.com.
Come visit Israel. You'll never be the same.
If credit card debt has you down, nonprofit Trinity Debt Management can help. Trinity will consolidate your bills into one easy-to-manage monthly payment, stop collections calls, wipe out late fees, and drastically reduce your interest. You'll pay thousands less than you originally owed. It's not a loan, it's a way to become debt-free and improve your credit score. So call the Trinity Debt Relief Hotline at 1-800-936-5348. They'll explain their proven program to you with no pressure, just practical solutions and hope for tomorrow. Are you ready to pay off your credit cards in less time for less money? Then call for a free no-obligation debt analysis and become debt-free for keeps. If your debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-936-5348. That's 1-800-936-5348. Call now or visit mydebthasmedown.com.
Trinity.
1-800-936-5348.
It's Michael Medved from Pop Culture to Politics. We've got you covered. Weekdays 3 till 6 p.m. Intelligent, conservative talk. 970 WGTK.
Welcome back to Resistance Radio. Jim Coyle, your guide through 2 hours from 10 to midnight each and every Sunday night right here on 970 WGTK. And my first studio in the guest, good friend PD Joe Stamm hanging out with me. We've been talking politics, the debates that have, the first debate that's happened already, the vice presidential debate coming up. We also want to boil it down locally to a race that's going on, and that is the congressional seat that John Yarmuth currently occupies. Now, John Yarmuth and I'd say...
You guys have a history.
We have a history. That's a good way of putting it. I've frequently turned up at his events and asked him some pretty poignant questions. And
I think he knows you by first name basis now. See each other at the restaurant. Hey, Johnny.
Yeah,
hey, Jim.
And he likes to duck me too, I'm sure, at this point.
Yeah.
Because I've asked him some pretty hard questions that he hasn't had the answers to.
Well, it really wasn't a hard question you asked him. It was a fairly easy question. He just didn't want to give you the answer.
Right.
So he tiptoed around it. You want to tell him about that a little bit?
Yeah, I asked him, it was at Center High School downtown in the gym. They were having a healthcare debate. And I asked him, look, if we have Medicare, Medicaid that are already going broke, these are government-run healthcare programs that are going broke. You obviously have mismanaged those. Why is Social Security is going bankrupt? You know, you've mismanaged Social Security. Why should the American people trust the federal government to do an even bigger project that envelops those three projects at $1 trillion? How are we going to pay for it? And at that point, Mr. Yarmuth said, how are we going to pay for it? The answer is, I don't know. And he didn't know.
Nope.
And he still doesn't know. And the budget office has increased the projection to almost $2 trillion cost to the American people. So they got the cost wrong. And John Yarmuth and the rest of the Democrats that support the Affordable Health Care Act. Now, it's called, the real legitimate name is the Affordable Health Care Cost, a Health Care Act, because it was going to bring health care costs down. And after it was signed, and after people started seeing these implementations of the tax dollars and how it was really affecting the cost, we realized the cost is not going down, it's going up. At which point John Yarmuth said, well, no, I never said we were going to bring the cost down. Yeah, John, you did say that. So John Yarmuth has been on the wrong end of a lot of debates. He hasn't been able to come up with the right answers. The answers he does come up with are anti-coal, not very smart for Kentucky.
There's a license plate here.
Yeah, exactly.
Friends of Coal.
Yeah, that's Kentucky.
Yeah.
And his cap and trade that he supports is death to the coal business. Whatever topic you want to bring up, John Yarmuth falls to the far left of it. And yes, I understand that this particular district is very liberal and very Democrat here, is probably the most liberal in the whole state when you boil it down by districts. Right. I get that. But there was a vulnerability, especially in the last election cycle, and I think there's still a vulnerability in this election cycle. And for some reason, the Republican Party, local and on a national level, will not put any effort behind unseating John Yarmuth. It's almost like they like him being there. Brooks Wicker is running against John Yarmuth. I am well into politics, up to my eyeballs. I know Mr. Wicker myself personally. He's a good guy. I think he's a good candidate. But you hear nothing about this guy. The the Courier Journal runs absolutely nothing about him. Do you like that? That really wasn't a
I didn't
slip.
catch that. What happened?
The Courier Journal
oh, there you go.
doesn't run articles about him.
Mm-hmm.
You don't hear about him anywhere. Nobody in the media picks him up. The Republican Party doesn't pick him up. And it's not just him, because the Republican Party did not support Todd Lally when he was running. They did not get the deserving push that they needed to unseat this guy. And let me tell you something. If John Yarmuth leaves Congress, that is a big accomplishment for grassroots conservatives all around the country. The guy has weaseled his way into a point of power pretty quickly in Washington, D.C. And I just cannot get over the fact that no one will get behind ousting him other than grassroots people here in Jefferson County. Other Tea Party people, other 912ers, whatever. Those people will actively work to unseat Yarmuth. But the Kentucky and Jefferson County and national Republicans won't, and I don't get it. Other than the fact that really resist the two-party system. I'm not necessarily saying that now is the time for the third party, because the third party will not win this election. It will screw up this election. But we have got to break this monopoly somehow, because what we end up getting is the same thing we've been getting for years, is the lesser of two evils. There are people on the Republican Party as well as people in the Democrat Party who really don't care about we the people. They're in it for their power and for their agenda, and it's on both sides of the aisle. Okay, so yes, I'm an independent conservative, but by no means do I believe Republican and follow the Republican Party down the line just because, I'm checking Republican at the top of the list and they're all going to be good. That's not the case. So resist the temptation to vote a party line and get in there and know the facts about the people you're voting for all the way down the ticket. Because the down ticket, and especially in where we are now in politics, the down ticket is just as important, if not more important. I don't want to say more important because the president is a big deal.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the president, the leader of the free world. It's a big deal. But that undercard is really important right now, because what we've seen is a Congress who is willing to abdicate their authority to the executive branch, give up their own powers. And when I say that, I'm talking about like just in this last session, the Congress decided that they are no longer needed to advise and consent the president on political appointments. Well, that's part of their constitutional duty. If they don't want to do that anymore, there should be a constitutional amendment to change that. You don't just vote, we're gonna give our power to him. That's not the way it works. But they did it. And so now the president could appoint Bill Ayers Secretary of Education. Yeah, that's freaky. Now, I know some people in education will say, Bill Ayers is really an avant-garde educationalist. He is on the cutting edge of new technologies and new styles of teaching. Yeah, no, it's not. He's not. He's not on any new avant-garde edge of anything. He's an old, tired hippie who really doesn't like America, who doesn't like the capitalist system, and who happens to be a friend of Obama's from Chicago. Without any sort of hesitation, Obama could put him in as Secretary of Education without advice and consent from Congress. That's wrong. But that's what these guys are doing. So that's the kind of stuff we have to stop. These guys are supporting things like the National Defense Authorization Act, which takes away our first Bill of Rights. The first 10 amendments are basically nullified by the National Defense Authorization Act. And these guys support that. So the undercard, your local place, down to down to your metro government and your state representation, and then your federal representation in the House and the Senate. These seats, these offices are extremely important. And for too many years, I think we have not paid attention to these offices. And we can't do that anymore. We have to have people in government that understand government and want to preserve the government that we have. Because America, with all the mistakes that we've made, with all the imperfections in our leaders over the years, I do believe that our foundation is the greatest form of government that has ever graced the face of the earth. I don't know. That's where I come from.
It is our duty to educate ourselves before we go out and vote. I mean, if you're going to go out and vote and you, like you said, just check Republican and go, all right, Republican, okay. All right, let's go down the list here.
Or my dad was a Democrat, so I'm going to vote Democrat. Grandpa loved JFK. I'm voting Democrat.
Right. It's just the whole democratic process is out the window. The whole going to the polls and actually what people fought for to vote, women and minorities fought for votes. And to have people just go to the polls now and just, all right, I'm going to get a free cell phone. I'm going to vote for this dude right here.
Yep. And, you know, unfortunately, I do believe that's a lot of it. You know, you don't bite the hand that feeds you.
Right.
So if you're going to get a free cell phone, if you're going to get the tax breaks that you want, if you're going to get, you know, whatever benefit extended that you want, yeah, you're going to vote for the one that gives it to you.
People really don't look at the facts behind candidates sometimes. They just look at a candidate, they say, I like this person or I can relate to this person, so I am going to vote for this person.
Yeah.
They don't look into the background. They don't look at any kind of controversial stuff this person might have done.
No.
They vote with their hearts, and that's it.
And we completely missed an opportunity to vet this president before he became president. And it's hard to vet somebody who seals up all of their records. I mean, we know from the 2008 campaign that John McCain, you know, he's a decorated war hero and all that. He went to the academy and was in the lower 25% of the academy. We know his grades. We know, oh, well, yeah, he went to the Naval Academy, but look at his grades. He barely hung in there, you know. And you can go and you can see that George W. Bush, you know, he did not do well in college. You've got all these records out there, but yet Obama has sealed all of his. So we don't know how he paid for it, where he went, what he got.
Right.
His college years are a mystery.
There are heart surgeons out there that were C students.
Yeah.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere. But we don't know about Obama. Or do we? Come back in the next hour.